more, we are joined once again by criminal defense attorney Lou Shapiro. Lou, thank you so much for being here. Let's dive right in. This was a wild day in court. We thought for a moment we might be actually getting a verdict, not a partial verdict. Then the judge sent the jurors back to deliberate further. What is your reaction to what we saw in the courtroom today?
Yeah, it was definitely a riveting day. I think everyone sort of knows where this is going. The fact that the jury has indicated they've reached verdicts on 4 of the 5 counts, but not on the RICO count, would really lead everyone to believe that there are guilty verdicts on the other counts. And the only thing the jury just is struggling with is whether this was a racketeering enterprise, whether this was done in some like formal, organized manner rather than just being done. But that is all, that's where all the logic and structure is dictating us tonight.
So, let's go to law school for a minute. Once the jurors said that they were deadlocked on that 5th charge that you're talking about, the racketeering conspiracy, the prosecution asked for an instruction called an Allen charge. What are we talking about here?
So the Allen charge is an old case which basically provides that a judge is allowed to instruct the jury to try to reach unanimity, to try to get everybody to agree on a charge. Not so much to tell them you must agree on a charge, but to remind the jury that you are encouraged to agree on a charge. That way, there is not one of the counts that are deadlocked in the case. So it's routinely done. We expected that to happen, and we'll see what they do tomorrow with it.
Lou, we'll get to that racketeering charge in a second, but this trial ran roughly 7 weeks, and jurors have reached their verdict on 4 charges in roughly 12 hours. What does that signal to you about their possible decision moving forward?
So it's basically indicating that they've agreed a guilty verdict on all those charges, because if it was a not guilty verdict, then they wouldn't be struggling with the RICO count, with the criminal enterprise. They would also be finding a not guilty on that. So the logic would dictate that they're guilty on those charges, but they're just stuck on whether they go the extra level up and say this was a formal criminal enterprise that was running this whole thing.
Yeah, and going that extra level up could possibly mean life in prison for Sean Diddy Combs if he's found guilty on that charge. I understand that throughout the 7 weeks here, though, the prosecution had a very difficult time, it seemed, to prove that case on whether or not there was this racketeering conspiracy. And now that the jurors are deadlocked on this RICO charge, the judge informed jurors yesterday that there are 4 key elements to consider in this RICO charge. Tell us what is being considered. What are those 4 things that that are being considered, especially in light of the judge's instructions?
So they have to consider basically, was there 2 predicate crimes that were being done here? And we can assume that they have arrived at that they were done because they're finding guilty verdicts on the other one. So they're going to say that there was sex trafficking and forcible manners in that sense. Then they have to decide, well, was this decided amongst a group of people? Was there a formal criminal enterprise at play here that said, we are going to do these predicate crimes? And that, I think, is where the jury is stuck. I think some jurors are saying, this is not the cartel. This is not the Gambino family. This is P. Diddy asking friends to do this for me, do that for me. But it was never a formalized criminal enterprise. That's where I think there is a dispute in that jury room on.
Lou, lastly, there were reports Monday that one juror, number 25, might not be following instructions, raising eyebrows, of course, that a stealth juror may have made it onto the panel. How big is a concern is that for you?
It happens all the time. It could be just 1 or 2 holdups, and that's why the Allen charge is read. The charge meaning that message is sent to the jury to, even though you might be disagreeing right now, please keep an open mind, please discuss all the arguments amongst everybody else. And maybe after hearing everyone else's arguments, maybe you'll change your mind. Maybe you'll see things their way and figure, I didn't have it right that first time around. But tomorrow is almost here, and we'll see what they're going to do.
What do you think is going to happen, Lou?
I don't think they're going to reach a verdict on that. I think whoever was basically hung up on not willing to go with the guilty, call it the majority perhaps on one side, I think they're going to dig their heels in, keep it going, and just stick by their guns. So I think they'll be hung on the racketeering, and we'll see guilty verdicts on the rest of them.
All right. Criminal defense attorney Lou Shapiro, thank you very much for being here.
You got it. Good night.
Ready to lose the hat and regrow the